Are you thinking about moving to Arlington, Virginia? Don't move here if you aren't prepared to handle these 5 things. The first, high housing cost and overall high cost of living. Housing is about 130% over the national average. Now it's all relative. If you're coming from New York City or San Francisco, you might think housing is a bargain here. If you're coming from Seattle, it might be fairly comparable. But if you're coming from Houston or Memphis, Tennessee, you'll probably have sticker shock due to the high housing prices. The average single-family home price last year was over $1,300,000, but that does include new construction where homes are over $2 million. The average condo and townhome price was just under $550,000. Average rent is around $24.50 for an average square footage of about $850. 2- and 3-bedroom rentals are likely to be more, but it will depend on the neighborhood and the amenities. Since pricing changes often, I'll put a link to available homes in the description below so you can see where they are now. The reason is a simple law of supply and demand. There's little to no undeveloped land here to build more homes, and there's a high demand because it's such a wonderful place to live. Great schools, low unemployment, close to the nation's capital, etc. On the plus side, average incomes are also well above the national average, so you may be making enough money to offset what seems like an exceedingly high housing payment. The second biggest issue here for many is the traffic, especially during rush hour. Again, it's all relative and may not be so bad compared to where you're coming from. But many Northern Virginia residents, including Arlingtonians, work in Washington, D.C., and they all need to come through Arlington to get there. The county is traversed by I-66 and I-395, as well as Route 50 and Route 29, but these roads all converge onto the bridges that go into the city across the river. But to help accommodate so many commuters, Arlington has 11 metro stations, plus Metro bus service and Arlington Rapid Transit or ART bus service, plus nearly 49 miles of paved off-road bike trails and additional dedicated bike lanes if you want to bike to work. You might even be able to walk to work. In any case, because Arlington is right next to DC and also has many employers within its own boundaries, chances are your commute will be significantly less than workers who are coming from Loudoun County, Prince William County, or even making the long trek from Stafford or Fauquier County to the city. And if you work in the Tysons corridor or the Dulles Tech corridor, you'll be going opposite most of the traffic, and the commute might not seem so bad. Don't move to Arlington if you were expecting to live in a planned community of relatively new homes of a similar style on 1/4 to half-acre lots with a lot of community amenities like pools, tennis courts, golf courses exclusive to your community. I know many parts of the country have areas like that, but most of Arlington was built in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, although many of those homes have now been added onto, extensively renovated, or even torn down and replaced by a new home. So Arlington has a very eclectic mix of housing styles within most neighborhoods. Lot sizes are relatively small, on average about 8,000 square feet. My own lot's only 5,600 square feet. There are some neighborhoods where 1/4 acre lots are the norm, but much larger than that is very rare. Garages are also rare in the older homes, but most of the newer homes for the 21st century will have at least a 1-car garage and possibly 2. And while the neighborhoods themselves are not likely to have their own community amenities like recreation centers, pools, fitness centers, and tennis facilities specifically for the residents of that neighborhood, Arlington County has over 900 acres of parkland, plus there are approximately 600 acres, about the area of Central Park in New York City, of federally, regionally, and privately owned parkland, including at least one park in every neighborhood. At least 98% of Arlington residents live within a 10-minute walk to a park. Many condominium and apartment buildings will have a pool, and there are some community pools, but they're not automatically available for residents in that neighborhood, and there may be a long waiting list. The county does have an indoor aquatic center at Longbridge, and the 3 main high schools have indoor pools for community use. Plus, Northern Virginia Regional Park runs Ocean Dunes Water Park at Upton Hills in Arlington. The county also has a dozen community centers, several fitness centers, and many public tennis courts, pickleball courts, basketball and volleyball courts spread throughout the county. Another negative to some would be that we have 4 seasons. Frankly, I think that's a great plus. But if you aren't used to it, you might be in for a shock. The summers here can be brutal, with temperatures often in the high 90s and high humidity, which makes it feel like it's over 100. If you must be outside in Arlington in July and August, stay hydrated and try to stay in the shade as much as possible. I was outside for several hours today in 95+ degree temperatures and saw many people walking around with umbrellas to keep themselves in constant shade. That also comes in handy for the frequent afternoon thunderstorms that occur this time of year. Fortunately, almost all offices, commercial spaces, and residences are air conditioned. So on the worst days, you just stay inside as much as possible. Or take the kids to one of Arlington's 6 spray grounds and interactive water features. Or hang out at your local pool if you belong to one, or go to Ocean Dunes Water Park. Or what about going ice skating indoors at the MedStar Capitals Iceplex at Ballston? That should keep you cool. Some people also escape on the weekends or for family vacations to nearby beaches like Bethany and Rehoboth, which are about 2 to 3 hours away, depending on traffic, where there should be comfortable ocean breezes. Or head to the mountains and Shenandoah National Park, which is about an hour and a half away, where the altitude, shade of the forest, and breezes should result in lower temperatures. The winters will also cause problems for those who aren't used to freezing temperatures, ice, and snow. But the severity of the winter varies here. Last year, I think we only had ½ an inch of snow. But in 2010, we had back-to-back blizzards, and schools were closed for more than a week. They called it Snowmageddon. Those are the extremes. On average, we get 15 inches of snow a year, so you'll need to be prepared to shovel your driveway and sidewalks, or be prepared to hire someone in your neighborhood to do it, and clear ice or snow off your cars if you don't have a garage. Schools are often closed or start late when it snows, so you will need to be prepared for alternative childcare if your employer doesn't follow school system closures. And it can take a while for residential streets to be plowed. I live on a relatively busy street that's a secondary county road, so while the traffic is worse, it does get plowed quickly, but this is not true everywhere. But as bad as the summers and sometimes the winters are, the springs and falls are fabulous. Spring brings beautiful flowers like tulips and daffodils, flowering shrubs like azaleas and roses, flowering trees like the famous cherry blossoms, which are here in Arlington as well as around the tidal basin in DC. Beautiful tulip magnolias and the Virginia state tree, the flowering dogwood. The skies are mostly clear and beautiful with comfortable temperatures in the 70s and only occasional spring showers. This is my favorite time of the year here. But fall is a close second. The leaves of the trees turn golden, orange, and red, and once again the skies are crisp and clear and blue with comfortable temperatures in the 70s. If you have a lot of mature trees around you, which most of Arlington does, you will need to be prepared to rake leaves or hire someone to do it. I hadn't thought about that as a negative of the fall season until I visited Savannah, Georgia last year, and they said you don't have to worry about falling leaves. But I think raking leaves is a small price to pay for the beautiful colors and changing seasons. If you have kids, they might even enjoy helping you rake and then playing in a big pile of leaves for fun. Fall is also the best time to get out to the Blue Ridge Mountains, where you can really appreciate the magnificent colors. The fifth thing you need to be prepared for is the possibility of overcrowded schools. Because Arlington has a highly acclaimed public school system, as well as other great community services, many families want to raise their children here. And older 3-bedroom homes are rapidly being torn down and replaced by newer 5- or 6-bedroom homes, which can accommodate larger families. There's no vacant land to build new schools, so this has resulted in overcrowding of many of the existing schools and frequent rezoning of boundaries to try to accommodate the increasing population of neighborhood children. Many schools have had to add trailers or on-site relocatable classrooms to accommodate the larger student body, and classes may have more than an ideal number of students per teacher. Some creative land use planning, including building elementary schools on middle school fields, or moving a popular alternative secondary school to an urban building in Roslyn, which allowed its former site to be repurposed to a new neighborhood middle school, have helped alleviate some of this for the time being. But it may continue to be a problem that goes along with the school system being in such high demand due to its high quality of education and attention to academic excellence. I was born and raised in Arlington and couldn't imagine a better place to live or to raise my family. But you should be aware of the negatives before you decide to move here. If you want to learn more about living in Arlington, watch these videos and feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about what it's really like to live here.